Hello, friend. This is how Elliot greets the viewer. I will be discussing the show Mr. Robot.
Sometimes I dream of saving the world, saving everyone from the invisible hand, the one that controls us every day without us knowing it. But I can't stop it. I'm not that special.
As you can tell, this was the trailer for the first season of the show. It gives you an idea of what the show is about. The show comes from a long line of hacking and cybercrime movies and TV shows. Most people know of, such as Hackers, Antitrust, the most recent Black Hat, and CSI Cyber, even dating back to the 1980s with War Games. The show currently airs on cable on the USA Network, with the first season premiering June 24, 2015. It was created by Sam Esmail. It has been a critical success, being nominated and winning various awards. It is currently airing in its second season. They are hour-long episodes, with the season 1 having 10 episodes and season 2 having 12 episodes. One thing that was great about this show and that really makes it stand out is they have a writer and technical producer, Cora Donna, who actually makes sure that all of the coding and the different things that are related to actual programming within the show are correct. There is a great article about the real hackers and the people who work in the production of the show in the link at the bottom of the screen. This is a show that is culturally relevant. As you can see, the hacker group of the show is called F Society, and they wear masks, which are meant to mimic the hacker collective Anonymous. They are about saving the world from the control of a capitalist society headed by E-Corps, or as it is called in the show, Evil Corps. The main cast consists of Rami Malek as Elliot Alderson, a senior network technician at Allsafe, a cybersecurity firm whose big client is Evil Corps by day, and a vigilante hacker by night. He suffers from anxiety and depression and uses drugs to help cope as the result of a traumatic childhood. Christian Slater is Mr. Robot, a mysterious figure who wants Elliot to create a worldwide revolution. We have Carly Chaikin as Darlene, a malware coder who doesn't talk much about her past but has a strong tie to Elliot and Mr. Robot. And Portia Doubleday as Angela Moss, who was a childhood friend and current co-worker at Allsafe with Elliot. Now, the supporting cast is made up of many different types of people. There are included a few women, such as Darlene and a Muslim woman, who are a part of F Society. There is also a black gentleman who is a part of F Society. In the new season, there is another black gentleman and a few other women. So it is a show that is trying to bring a level of diversity in showing that hackers and such are more than just our stereotypical types, but they are across the board and diverse as such as society is. Now this goes into a little more technical aspect. As we see, season 1, each episode title is formatted like a computer file, with all of them ending in a video file format extension, such as an MP4, an MPEG, an MOV, where season 2, they're also formatted as a computer file, but those are using encryption extensions, TC, KSD, AES, P12. Elliot hacks everybody. So everybody that he hacks, he keeps a disk of, and he puts them in a binder. Each one has a song title with an artist tied to them. There is a reason why it has not really been discussed in the book or in the show, and you kind of would have to look online. What's really nice is this link to an actual IP address, and that's what IP addresses look like. It's a really interesting Easter egg. If you are so daring, I would look at it. It's not real. It looks real, but it's not real, just so you know. Also, there is a link at the bottom of this screen that shows a good article about what each episode title meaning is. I'm sorry you can't see these real well, but if you want, I can actually post them in the discussion group. The show is shot in New York City, New York, and it uses a single camera style. As you can see, they use various types of cameras to get the shots with certain effects. And some of these are shot, like the one picture is a shot from On Location itself. Lighting and framing of the shots is very important to this show. In the top left, the overhead light really shows the shadow and how this conversation is to stay hidden. And the bottom right is a very typical of the show in that the lighting is dim and she is set off center of the middle of the frame. And that is a deliberate method of use that is in most of the scenes. A lot of their scenes, when a conversation is held, it is held with the person off center of the middle of the frame of the camera, and you have all this extra space. There was an article I read that talked about why they did this, so it is a very deliberate practice for this show. They also go to the opposite extreme in using bright, almost blinding light. These usually convey the defeated aspects of what's going on. The almost washed out look with clear color show that dread is coming or happening, yet life continues around us. A great example is that center picture of Angela sitting on a stool with all these colors around her, and she looks rather pale. It's a very pivotal scene and a defining moment for her. In the right-hand top corner is a scene that's preceding the middle scene. So it's very pivotal, no spoilers, but the show really, the brightness is really about dread. When you would think it would be the opposite, but when it's bright, it's not actually a good thing. You want the darker, those seem more realistic and honest, really, in terms of how lighting plays a role in this show. This show uses various shots, such as long shots to show the magnitude of the surroundings, such as an empty Times Square with Elliot standing in the middle, or Elliot standing at the base of a table surrounded by what is actually lawyers and a secondary character. And those long shots help kind of show the magnitude and intensify the situation. They also really adhere to the 180 in conversations, using those establishing shots, and a lot of times we are looking over his shoulder at a lot of things to help us kind of see what he says. So they use a slightly off-center point of view shot a lot of times. This would have to be one of my favorite scenes. This sequence is great. They totally throw the whole 180 rule out the window, and they rotate around from different angles, as you can see from these various screenshots. They're telling a story. It's a really interesting conversation, but the way that they're able to kind of go from side to side, and we see them from almost all 4 points, is just, it really makes the scene even more so. But you never get disoriented, and you don't feel like you're a little off center, but they kind of do that on purpose, and the ending effect just totally makes it even better. Again, I'm not spoiling it for anyone. The one thing that this show really wanted was that the programming and coding be real and correct. These screenshots show that these are actual codes used in real life. Because, well, techies are notorious for for picking out the little idiosyncrasies and little incorrect items in anything. That's why it's so hard to really work on these shows and create such amazing shows. And most times they don't. This show has had such critical success, and there's so many articles out there written about how much of the hacking skills and whatnot is done correctly, it's done right, it's realistic, it's not very Hollywood. They keep things so low key because, well, hackers in a general sense are rather low key. They do stay hidden. They're not flamboyant. They're not what we perceive them to be, but they are individuals. They're regular people like you and me. So to conclude, Mr. Robot is about change and about how corporations can affect our way of life, yet also how our childhood can influence our desires. If you want, there's a link at the top to a really good special about Mr. Robot. I would suggest, though, if you're not into spoilers, you don't want to watch it because it does do a lot of spoilers for you. But it's a really good episode. It's a really good special. I hope you enjoyed my little talk on Mr. Robot. It's very technical, but then so am I.